What is up, everyone? Welcome back to Across the Board, sponsored by MoneyBall Metrics. You have your normal host, myself, Alpha Dog Bets, here with Ben from We Beat the Spread. But don't worry, we still have Jammer Bets and JD here as well. But you guys know we always open up our Friday show with a little MMA hour, a little two-man game with me and Ben. Ben, how are you today? I'm excited to be on here with you.
Doing great today. Yeah, it's a fun weekend. We finally got UFC back, and not for long because we'll have the Christmas break after this. So really, this is a big card to kind of end off the year, and it should be a fun one. So I'm really excited to get into it.
I love it. Let's go over to the comments. J-Bo is here per usual. What's good, brother? We appreciate you tuning in. Joe is here. What is up? Alpha Voice, appreciate you tuning in as always, bro. Josh is here as well. Ben, you need to listen to Josh more. Come on.
Dude, okay, my book, so the one that I wanted to play it on, I had the plus 105, and then the other one was like too juiced at 3. It was like minus 125 or something. I was like, you know what are the chances it actually lands on 3? And it lands on 3, and I'm like, all right.
It happens. But you did make a good play there. It does happen. So
I thought they had
moving. Nick Castrucci is here as well. Happy Friday, fellas. Big weekend coming up. Great time to get in the MoneyBall Metrics Discord. Nick, I'm going to have to get you on here and say that for me because I couldn't have said it better myself. It's a massive weekend. Get in the MoneyBall Metrics Discord. It's the best community, the best people to be with and to cash some bets. Ben, you know what we always do on the show on Fridays? I kind of alluded to it. We go over our MMA/UFC bets. So let's dive right into it. What are you liking for this card? I know it's a big card. A lot of big favorites again. We've seen some pretty lousy matchups on these cards where the books are pricing one fighter like a minus 500 and the other guy a plus 250, plus 300. We have another one of those cards this weekend. So it's really a good time to find some value. And I know that Ben is the best at finding value. What did you find for us, Ben?
Yeah, so the one main bet I'm going to give out, which is my favorite play probably on the card, is going to be the free bet on the main card opener, Nate Landwehr taking on Doo Ho Choi. I actually really like Landwehr in this one. I think he's rightfully the favorite. This has actually been bought down because Choi has gotten some nice first-round knockouts. I think there's this word going out that Landwehr doesn't have a chin. I don't agree with that. I think he got caught early a few times because he's an aggressive fighter. I think he got caught a few times early in the UFC. But since then, we've seen his chin hold up against some pretty good opponents, and he even took Dan Ige to a tough decision. I just think Landwehr is the much better fighter here. We've seen Choi get these knockouts. He hasn't fought that many good guys. His best win was that knockout over Algeo. But other than that, he just hasn't fought the same level of opposition. And Landwehr, I think, outside the first round, if he can escape that first round, I think he's definitely going to take the second and third round. And if not, finish it in one of those 2 rounds. If not, take a decision 29-28. So I think Landwehr is the much better volume fighter here, and will have the power advantage outside the first round. So minus 130 on him. I'm not worried about the line movement coming down on him. I actually like it because we're getting him at a better price. Other than that, you hit the nail on the head there, Alpha. There's a ton of very heavy favorites on this card. So do your research and take some big dogs because I will be posting some pretty big dogs in the UFC Discord over on MoneyBall Metrics. So make sure you guys check that out. But I guess I'll throw one out for you guys. I actually don't hate taking a shot on Vicente Luque. I think Bo is getting a lot of hype because, he had that thing with The Rock. He's a great story. Everyone loves getting behind him, and I get it. But I just don't see him being better than Luque in this fight, who we've seen fight some high-level competition and take a lot of guys in some really tough fights. So I like him as an underdog. I'll be posting a few other big underdogs in the Discord, though.
Question. One more I want to ask you. One more specific fight, because to me it's a pretty entertaining one, and I'm a little surprised about the odds. So the Movsar Evloev versus Aljamain Sterling. Sterling's a 2-1 dog here at a plus 200. Do you think he has some value there?
So it's interesting because obviously Evloev is expected to be the better wrestler, but Sterling's that's basically how he got his whole thing of getting to the title shot was everyone saying he's a boring fighter because all he does is wrestle.
Yep.
So you're kind of getting these kind of really dominant wrestlers who are going to be going up against each other. So it will be an interesting fight. I'm interested by the odds, and I probably will be taking a shot on Sterling, which might be kind of leaky in another one of the plays that might be in the Discord. But if I do, it will be Sterling by finish because I think he can I think he's the better grappler. Like, Sterling's an amazing grappler. Evloev is a great wrestler, but Sterling is definitely the better grappler out of these two.
I agree.
They're on the ground for a while. I think he can definitely submit him. So I will be taking a shot on Sterling and by sub.
Also, he has the experience. He's been a champion. He has these title fight experience. He knows how to be in the big time moment. I like him as well. I also like your first pick as well with Nate Landwehr. Going to be honest, I am on him as well. So definitely a big fan of those two. That's why I wanted to ask. And just to put it into a little bit of perspective, guys, I said that this fight was a major favorite heavy card. Let me just go over the odds for all the main event fights. The first main card fight is that Nate Landwehr fight. He's currently a minus 140. Then the next fight is Bryce Mitchell versus Kron Gracie. Bryce Mitchell's a minus 750. The fight after that, Cyril Gane versus Alexander Volkov. Cyril Gane's a minus 450. The fight after that, Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Ian Machado Gary. Rakhmonov's a minus 450. And then the final fight, Alexander Pantoja versus Kai Asakura. Pantoja's a minus 300. So that's why I said it is good to find value on this card, because literally every single fight except for the first one, which Ben did find value on a winner there, is too high of a price to bet straight. You either got to parlay it or bet how the fight's going to end, stuff like that. It's just a little bit difficult card. So guys, make sure you get in the Moneyball Metrics Discord. Ben researches these plays for hours every single week and puts all of his picks in there for you guys. Make sure you get in the Discord, come win with us, and let's cash on UFC. Any other fights you want to go over before we bring the boys in here?
No, I think we covered a good amount for free. Like I said, they'll be in the Discord for sure, and I will be posting some free plays in there as well. So make sure you check that out. But yeah, this is going to be a fun card, and it's obviously the last biggest card of the year. It's the last pay-per-view. There is one next week, but it's not as good of a card. And then we have a 2-week break for Christmas, and then we're in the new year. So if you guys are going to bet any UFC, make sure you do it tomorrow, because it's going to be a really fun card.
Absolutely. Well, let's get everyone back in here. Jammer, welcome to the show. JD, per usual, welcome to the show as well, my brother. Guys, I know you guys did just hear the MMA hour with Ben. How good did he do? Good, right?
I feel like I'm going to make $1 million.
There's nobody better than Ben. He's the best MMA guy in the absolute world.
You're gonna make me blush, Alpha.
Well, all that kindness, Ben. We're gonna.
Oh, that's why you were building it up. Oh.
He's getting really good at
Very good. Very good.
I've had so much practice. I'm getting good at it.
Listen, I've won 5 in a row. You've lost 5 in a row. Stop challenging me on these.
You're broken at this point. You don't even know how to use it anymore.
I know. You got to get me back on the old cluck grind over here. But great job, Ben. Great cluck. And we will be finding another cluck bet for this week. I am excited about that, and I can let it out early. It's probably going to be me versus Ben, because that's just what freaking happens on this show. Going over to the comments as well before we get started with the football show. Joe is here saying good read by everyone yesterday. Joe, I know you were here as well. Even Hefe gave out those Tim Patrick touchdowns that were a plus 6,000 for 2+. Big night for the boys. Logan is here as well. He's saying the best. I'm assuming you're talking about Ben. I agree. Happy Friday, brother. And Bill likes the Luque by submission. Before we move on, do you like that one, Ben?
Oh, yeah. If I had to, well, I would take, honestly, just inside the distance. You're going to get a better price, because he could knock him out, to be honest with you. But I don't hate the submission angle. I think I would rather take inside the distance, though, just at a little bit lower of a price.
I don't blame you. And Footy, we knew you'd show up today. Footy is a Penn State alumni back in 1964. So Penn State had a massive win over Purdue last night. So Footy, I know you're very excited. I'm sure the retirement home is going nuts over that big win by Penn State. Congratulations.
They're a basketball school now.
They are now a basketball school. That is absolutely correct. Well, fellas, we have a beautiful slate. You know, Fridays normally our full NFL show, but we do have a couple college football games tonight. We do want to break down at least one of them. You fellas ready to dive into the action, start giving out some winners?
Yes, sir.
Let's get it. First game we're breaking down is going to be UNLV at Boise State. UNLV is coming in 10-2 on the year. We all know the story with them. They're a team that lost their starting quarterback. They're a team that lost their running back early in the year to transfers due to issues with payment from NIL. This school's had a lot of negative publicity, but they've managed to work through it and finish the year 10-2. They're in the Mountain West Championship, and they're going up against Boise State, who has Ashton Genty, who is, in my opinion, I mean, I shouldn't say it like this, but I think he should be the Heisman, just being honest. He's not going to be, but to me, he should be the Heisman. Let's start with JD. What do you like about this one?
Did you say Andy?
No, JD.
Oh, sorry.
JD.
Okay. Yeah. Both of these teams, they've actually already played this season. Boise won that game 29-24. That was a game that I actually watched like the actual whole game, and that was really a 50-50 game. That one really could have gone actually either way. If Boise wins this game, then as far as the playoffs, they're in. So because of that, I think we may see them tonight play a little bit tight because they're not used to like playing actually for this. So that's what I'm thinking here. Everyone that I see seems to think Boise is just the clear side here. And I don't really understand that because these teams match up extremely well. As far as they can both run the ball well. But as far as the defenses go, I think that the actual Vegas actually defense is actually a little bit better. So as far as the eye test for actually me, these teams are actually like actually even. As far as the model, it actually has Boise at I believe it's at minus 2.6. So between the fact that the model has actually the number there, and then for me in the eye test, it has these teams as actually like a really even. You can get UNLV currently at actually plus 4.5. So I'm going to be on that.
I like that. I'll jump in here next. If I were to take a side, I would be on the side of UNLV. I do think Boise State wins this game, but I think it ends within a field goal in either direction. The approach I'm taking in this game is I'm taking the under 57.5. This is a championship caliber game. The winning team of this game does go to the college football playoff. And in my opinion, Boise State needs to win this game or they will not be in the college football playoff. So there is going to be a ton of pressure on both teams in this game. The defenses will rise up, and we will see both teams try to limit mistakes from their quarterback. I think we see a very run-dominant game script. At least for Boise State, we know they're going to run it 900 times to Genty. But on the other side, I really do think UNLV will keep the ball on the ground as well. They don't want to have any turnovers, and this one should be a close game all the way to the end. It should go comfortably under the 57.5 as well. The first game between these two teams did that as well. So give me the under. Definitely one of my favorite plays in the college football slate today. Jammer, what do you got?
Yes, I wouldn't really say I have a side here, but if I was to back somebody, it'd probably be Boise State because I feel like UNLV, man, they're not going to be used to this cold weather. Boise State's built for it, one of the most beautiful stadiums in college football, and they got an angry Ashton Genty because he kind of feels like, I think we all feel the same way. He's getting screwed here on this Heisman.
Yeah.
We just haven't seen a running back like this in such a long time.
We're going to touch on that. I'm not going to get off this game until we all speak about the Heisman. So I will go back around table after we pick this game and talk about that.
Okay. But yeah, if I had to pick a side here, I would probably go with Boise State. Got to go with the home team, used to the elements. And they got an angry guy back there in that backfield with that Michael Myers style.
There we go. It's also going to be cold. Remember that as well. 30 degrees tonight. They're thinking by kickoff. Ben, what do you got?
Well, I'm glad you brought up the weather because that kind of plays into my angle in this one. It's going to be cold. It's going to be a ground game. The first meeting when these two guys met earlier in the year, the total was 63, and it ended with 53 points. And so rightfully, the total has dropped to 57.5. I still don't think it's dropped enough, especially in a game of this caliber. That was during the regular season. It's going to be even more intense. You just brought it up. We're talking about someone going to the college football playoff as the winner of this game. I think this game goes under 57.5. I think we're going to see a lot of rushing. The way to expose Boise State is through the air. Guess what UNLV doesn't do? Pass the ball. They love to run. These are two heavy run-dominant teams. That's what we saw in the first matchup. Yeah, it ended with 53 points, but honestly, it could have even been less than that. Genty, as far as he's concerned, he absolutely does deserve the Heisman. However, out of any game this year, any game he had more than 11 carries, because there was one blowout that he barely got any carries. UNLV was the one team that slowed him down the most. They only gave up 128 rushing yards from him, which sounds like, only 128 rushing yards. That's
a great game. That's a great game defensively.
33 carries for 128 yards. That is the most any team all season has slowed him down. So if there's one team that can actually kind of stifle Boise State, it is UNLV. And then on the other side, like I said, Boise State, they're really good against the run, and that's what UNLV loves to do. They don't even like to pass. They're like bottom 5 in pass attempts per game.
The quarterback left. Their quarterback just quit on the team.
I mean, at that point, with all the cold weather as well, and the college football playoff on the line, I don't see how this game gets over 50 points.
Don't do that, bro. I'm on the same side. Don't jinx us, please. Just say you love it, and that's all we're going to talk about on it.
Yeah, under 57.5.
Love it. Let's talk about this Heisman a little bit because I do want to give my 2 cents that nobody cares about on this topic. Colorado didn't even make their conference championship. They're not going to make the college football playoff. And you're talking about a team with a running back who's basically breaking every record, doing things we haven't seen in God knows how long. And you're not going to give him the Heisman because some guy on a losing team is playing well on both sides of the ball. I mean, Travis Hunter doesn't have the touchdowns on the offensive side to even be in the same ballpark as Ashton Genty. I know he plays defense as well, but isn't this award supposed to be for the guy who's helped his team the most important player in college football? How are you going to put a team that is going to finish worse than where they were pre-ranked in the beginning of the year? They did worse than they were expected to do. And you're going to put this guy ahead of Genty, who's taking his team, hopefully if they win tonight, to the college football playoff. JD, what do you think about the Heisman?
I mean, yeah, man, like I'm on the same page here. Just like you said, as far as yes, Travis Hunter plays both sides of the ball, but if you look on his stats for just either side, and if you were just looking at one side, this would not even be a talk. He would be like just nowhere near this like talk here. So like, yes, I get it that is extremely tough to do, playing both sides of the ball. I mean, yes, that is a great feat. But yeah, just like you, man, Genty, to me, this is more for what this award normally goes to. It just seems like it should be his. I actually just pulled up the current odds. Travis,
it's
Hunter,
over.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's not. It's over.
Yeah, as far as Travis Hunter is minus 6,000 now.
Yeah.
So yeah, to me, yeah, I'm actually just not a big fan of it. So.
My big thing, one more thing I want to add before we go to Jammer is if Boise State wins tonight, then Genty deserves to be the Heisman. If they lose tonight, then maybe he doesn't. But if they win and they make the playoffs as Boise State, he should absolutely win it for carrying that team by himself to the college football playoff. Jammer, thoughts?
Look, I mean, I'm going to go quick here. It just kind of reminds me of the high school, presidential race. You just get the kid that wins is just the nerdy kid that was in the acting club or whatever the hell they called it back then, and he had all the nerds vote for him.
Whoa!
Acting.
Ben was the star of Broadway musical in his high school. Don't you dare insult acting to Ben.
But I would just love to see Ashton Genty just go absolutely nuclear tonight, just to give a big middle finger to all the Heisman voters who have already decided that Travis Hunter is going to win. But I don't think we're going to see a running back win in the near future.
I agree. Ben, thoughts before we move on to the next game?
I would love to see what the odds would be if they didn't play for a Deion Sanders team that happens to be one of the popular teams in all the nation. I'd love to see what the odds would be because you brought it up, Alpha. His touchdowns don't compare. Most of his stats come from garbage time. He had a stretch where five out of 6 games down a very important part of their season where they lost to those games, he had under 100 yards. In fact, some of those games he barely had any receptions. And he does play great on defense, but he kind of gets burned a lot. He reminds me like Trayvon Diggs, where he makes some big plays, so everyone's like, "Oh, he's so good." But then he's opportunistic. He gives up a lot of big plays too. And how about this one? I'm so glad Aiden brought this up.
It's a great comment.
They played no one. The biggest game of the season against the undefeated number 1 Oregon. He went off for 192 yards and 3 touchdowns, and they nearly won the game solely because of Ashton Genty.
Yep.
The number 1 team in the nation, they almost won solely because of him. He had almost 200 rushing yards against the number 1 team in the nation and 3 touchdowns. He's sole reason they were in that game. So I'm so sick of hearing look at look at who they both played. No, that's not even it. And then there's one more stat. I'm sorry. There's one more stat I want to bring up. There are only 2 other running backs in college football history with 25 rushing touchdowns and 2,000 yards in 11. Barry Sanders and Ricky Williams and Ashton Genty. That's the list right there.
Yeah.
That's the list right there. If you can make a list like that and get somehow not win the Heisman, I don't even. What are we doing anymore? What are we doing?
I agree. More to come on that. I'm sure when the official awards come out, we will all come on here and have a lot more to say on this topic. Let's keep it moving, gentlemen. We are now going to move into the NFL portion of this show. The reason you all are all here every Friday as the boys break down our favorite plays in the NFL slate. Let's start with the first one because we have to talk about this team. If Jammer is on the show, he has literally told us he will not show up if we do not talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. So here we are. We have reverse records in this game. The Cleveland Browns are 3-9 on the year. They're 1-5 on the road. Steelers 9-3 on the year, 4-1 at home. We all saw what the Steelers did last weekend. Absolutely fantastic performance against the Bengals. I know JD's probably going to bring up about that defense because he likes to talk about that Steelers defense. And they did give up 38 points, but that offense came through. They had a big performance and they won the game. On the other side, man, the Cleveland Browns really should have won a game last week. They really should have at least covered, but Jameis Winston decided to make arguably the worst pass in NFL history down at the goal line. He made a couple of those, but that's what you get when you have the Jameis Winston experience. JD, what do you like in this game?
All right, going to me first here.
Surprise.
Yeah, I am. Just like you just said, as far as last week, both of these teams put up a lot of points, and they also gave up a lot of points. As far as actually Jameis Winston to me, him and Geno Smith are in the same category now for me. They're the best, worst, actually QBs.
Bro, that's so disrespectful to Geno. He's been pretty good for 4 or 5 years now.
I mean, to me, they're in that same boat now.
Okay.
I mean, what did Jameis do last week? He threw 6 actually touchdowns. 2 of them just happened to be to the wrong team.
Yeah.
And then I actually threw for 497 yards. I mean, it was a great game. The Browns definitely should have won that.
Yeah, my bet would have loved that too. My spread would have absolutely loved them to pull that out.
And, as far as this game, I really don't have a lot to say on it. I feel like this is the most square bet I'm ever going to do ever here. But as far as the over, it's not about what they did last week. I just think this number is still just too small. It's at 43.5 still. The fact that it's under a really actually a 45, I just don't understand that. So I just have to play the over here. The Browns, if you can get a +7, I would have to lean actually that way. It's not really a strong side, but I would definitely lean there. But yeah, for me, like I said, just the over here. The number to me is just too low.
I'm with you, JD. You beat me to the punch. And guys, we say it all the time in the show. We do not go over what each other are betting beforehand. So I probably shouldn't have let JD go first there, but I could not agree with you more. 43.5 is way too low of a number for these two teams. The Steelers are able to put up points right now, and so are the Cleveland Browns. Since Jameis Winston's been back there, this team has much higher totals. He's throwing picks and he's throwing touchdowns. You don't know which he's going to do, but he's putting points on the board for somebody. And guys, last week I came on this show. I told you guys, Jerry Jeudy was my favorite prop of the week. Take his anytime touchdown. I said take him 2+ touchdowns at +2,300. Unfortunately, Jameis Winston missed him on an 80-yard streak right down the middle of the field with no defender there, which would have got him over 300 yards on the game alone and 2 touchdowns. So we did cash the +261 touchdown in that game. We're running it back. Jameis has a clear number 1 target with this offense, and I do think points will be scored. So I am, like I said, taking the over 43.5, and I am taking Jerry Jeudy anytime touchdown at +210. He should be able to find the end zone yet again, and he's quietly becoming a top 5 receiver in the league in all statistical categories this year, and he only played about half the game. So this guy's really putting up some dominant numbers lately, and I do expect that to continue with Jameis Winston behind the helm. Jammer, over to your boys. What do you got?
Well, I was sitting here hoping I would hear JD talk about how overrated the defense was, but he was actually a little nice today. But I do have to agree with both of you that the over is the play here. I was looking at Jameis Winston's odds to throw an INT, -230. He is going to throw more than one at those odds, and that just means short fields for a Pittsburgh offense that has struggled in the red zone, but are definitely making adjustments with those Justin Fields packages, which I'm very excited to see what they can do with that. But
I think it's been great too. It's been another weapon for that offense, putting new packages in for Justin Fields. I'm with you.
So since Russell Wilson took over, Steelers are 6th in points per game, tied in first in completions of 20+ yards. Tied in first in yards per completion, tied for second in yards per pass attempt. And the favorite play that I have in this game is obviously going to be this George Pickens over 28.5 longest reception. This man right here, I'm telling you, he needs to be studied because he is not from this earth. Since Russell Wilson took over, I think he's 6 for 6 or 7 for 7 on his longest reception. these moon balls are just absolutely beautiful. And if you guys watch the Hard Knocks, man, they have some great slow-mo videos of his moon balls out there. Just nothing more beautiful to see than that. But they didn't have a lot of props available for this game. But while Alpha and JD were talking there, I did take a look. Another one I'm going to be sprinkling on is that Steelers defense anytime touchdown at plus 500. We talked about it with Jameis Winston. He's going to throw a pick. There could be a strip sack. And Alex Highsmith's back too. So now that they got that 3 to 4-headed monster on that defensive line with TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, Cam Hayward, Nick Herbig, I mean, anything's possible. Strip sack, fumble, or pick six. We'll take either one. But plus 500 with a team like Cleveland, with the way that they've been throwing that ball around, it's definitely worth taking.
Yeah, I definitely like that as well. And one comment I wanted to bring up here was Joe saying David Njoku, the Browns tight end, should have a decent game with taking Jerry Jeudy away. Going to be honest, it's very difficult to take Jerry Jeudy away. Last week, when the Browns and Jerry Jeudy went absolutely wild, he had Pat Surtain Jr. on him the whole game, who is one of the best corners in the league. So yeah. I don't know if you could take Jerry Jeudy out right now with how much they're throwing the ball and slinging it. So be a little wary of that. And Joe also said that Jameis does fumble because he doesn't use two hands. Absolutely right. I think you should DM him, Joe, and let him know that you found that out about his game.
No. Wait till after the game. Wait till after the game.
Next week, let him know he needs to secure the ball a little better. I'm sure he will appreciate that message from you. Ben, what do you got?
Yeah, so in this game, I'm actually not so much looking at a side. It is kind of tough, -6.5. You're getting under a touchdown, but it's still divisional games. We see these divisional games go down to the wire time and time again when it doesn't make sense, just like the Raiders, Chiefs, that kind of thing. Even the Bears, Lions, like you just see some of these late season divisional games be really close. So I don't think I can take a side here. However, I am going to be taking Najee Harris under 62.5 rushing yards. We just haven't seen him really be the same. I mean, he had a decent stretch where he had those 3 really good games over 100 yards rushing, but just this year, just still not really seen it from him. And especially in that Cleveland game, like that was kind of his game. It was a snow game. They had to win against the Browns. He had 16 carries. He only ended up with 41 yards against the Browns. That's kind of been the theme because last year when he faced the Browns, the 2 games, he had 10 carries for 43 yards. And then the one before that, he had 12 carries for 35 yards. He hasn't really gotten close to 62. So this is another game where I think we might see some more split looks with Jaylen Warren. I do think Russ will be passing it a lot more. Jammer just brought up that thing with George Pickens. I think they're going to have a much better game, not in the snow this time. So I think that Russ will be passing it a bit more. And Najee Harris, man, we still just haven't really seen it from him this year. So I'm going to take under 62.5. We've seen this Browns kind of rushing defense get a little bit better as the season goes on. Since week 6, they're actually allowing the 8th least rushing yards per game to running backs, only allowing 77. So you're basically asking Najee to get all of those, but I think that Jaylen Warren's going to get some action too. So I love that play.
Question. One more question for Jammer here. Are you going to be taking the over 55.5 penalty yards on George Pickens, or are you going to take the under this week?
That might be way too low. But I'm starting to think maybe Mike Tomlin, might be getting to him. But,
footy. He beat me to it. He beat me to my joke.
Dang. But anyone see Najee Harris try and throw Pat Freiermuth's wife under the bus for her dessert, and that's why he was cramping up in the beginning of the game?
What? Really?
Yeah.
Well, we're going to move on. We're going to move on. Next game on the slate. We have the Atlanta Falcons and the Minnesota Bens. Ben, a lot of injuries in this game. Quite a bit on both sides. Oh, yeah. So what do we like in this one? I could go through the whole injury report, but I'd honestly be reading about 80% of each roster. They're all designated questionable. It's crazy how many guys are questionable for this game. Ben, this is your team. You know them better than anyone. What do you like in this game?
Yeah, injuries are a thing. And obviously this is Kirk Cousins' revenge game. Well, not even a revenge. He actually left us in the dust. If anything, it's the defense's revenge against Kirk Cousins because it's not like we did him dirty at all. He went out, he got paid. Guess what? You're 6-6 in the worst division in football, and you've absolutely sucked this year. So how about this one, Kirk? No, I'm just kidding.
Wow, I like it.
I'm just kidding. But I am fired up because, he talked about franchise quarterback his whole career. Then he left for more money. Now he's not really doing it. He has so many picks in his last 4 games. I don't even know if we can count them. He single-handedly blew that game against the Chargers. The Chargers were trying to give him every chance to win that game, and he threw 4 picks, including I think one of them was a pick 6 in that game. And, they just gave him every opportunity, still lost the game. They've lost 3 in a row now against not great. Like Denver and Chargers, yeah, sure. they're good teams, but like these are games they need to win. The division's on the line, and he just has not shown up now in 3 straight weeks. Even the game against Dallas was close; they only won by 1 score. He's just looked horrible down the later stretch of the season. I remember when they were 4-2, everyone was like, "Oh, Kirk Cousins, this Falcons team is so good." Now they're doing nothing. All that being said, I can't take the Vikings here. There just are a lot of injuries. I want that pass rush to get to Kirk Cousins because he's not mobile. And if you can get pressure on him, we just saw it last week, 4 picks. And Grenard, he's had such an amazing year, Van Ginkel too. But at the end of the day, with those injuries, I just don't know if I can take the Vikings confidently in this spot, at least to cover. Because it's 5.5. I think they're going to win the game. But I think it could be sneaky close, and it could come down to like a final possession. So I'm not super confident in the 5.5. But I do think the Vikings win. So it's kind of
So wait, you think the Vikings are going to win a 1-possession game? Wow! You mean like all their wins ever?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. They have close wins. Like they've been pointing out, they're like the Lions right now. Like the Lions have had some close calls lately, but they always find a way to pull it out. They've also had some blowouts, but they've had some close games recently. Let's not act like they haven't.
Let's not act like the Vikings are remotely anything like the Detroit
I
Lions.
didn't say they were. I did not compare them to the Lions. I said they've had some close wins. And by the way, the Lions only beat us by 2, so let's calm down over there, Skippy.
Yeah, you're right about that. You are right about that.
Yeah. But point made. I think it could be a close game, so I'm not taking the Vikings.
I agree with you, Ben. I'll go in here next. I will save the second leg of my weekly parlay until the next game, but I'm on the Vikings on the money line. This team wins ball games. They can't cover for shit, so I'm definitely taking them on the money line. I think they will win this one outright, despite all the injuries that Ben said, because they do have a laundry list of guys on the questionable list. But I still think they should be able to get the win, and Ben said it perfectly. Kirk Cousins, man, what a disaster. 13 interceptions on the year to only 17 touchdowns with a better offensive line than he's had in a very long time and a lot of receiving weapons. I know he used to have JJ and Justin Addison, but before last year when they had Addison, he only had JJ and usually did not have any complimentary receiving help in Minnesota. So for me, I do think that we're seeing the regression of Kirk Cousins. We should see a bunch of turnovers because this Minnesota Vikings team plays some good defense as well. I know Sam Darnold's regressed a bit, but they play very good defense and they have been playing some good football. So give me the Vikings on the money line. I'll go over the second leg when we go to the next game because the next game is the second leg. JD, what you got?
To me, yes, the Falcons the past 3 weeks now, they have not looked good. Cousins has not looked good. But this number to me is wild. The Vikings laying 5.5 here. I can't get anywhere near that.
Yeah.
I actually have this as far as as actually them by 2.1. The Vikings, the start of the year, for actually me, they were absolutely great. I played a lot of their first halves. That won for me. I actually played them in lots of ways. And they were winning for me every single week. But at this point in the year, this is an actual they are an overvalued team now. And what are they? 10-2?
10-2. Yep.
To me, honestly, the way they're playing, they're not really a 10-2 team. They're actually not bad, but they're not really what you would think a 10-2.
They're not elite. They're not an elite top 3 team in the NFL. I agree with you 100%.
Correct. So for me, this is a clear Falcon spot or either pass. It's just, can you stomach betting on the Falcons? Currently, I actually have not. I'm just going to look and see where this number goes. I have a feeling like it may go up some still. So if this goes up, I may just have to jump in. But as far as right now, I am just going to pass.
There we go.
Yeah,
I don't mind that at all.
You guys almost have talked me into the Falcons at this point because I saw a comment that said, who's the biggest imposter in the NFL is the Vikings. It absolutely could be. I'm not going to sit up here and
Where was that one? I missed it. 1 second. Here we go. Diamond Dog.
Yeah, you look at the other teams that are 10-2 or better in the NFL right now. The Bills, the Chiefs, the Eagles, and the Lions, and the Vikings. Who's the worst out of those teams? The Vikings. And not even you look at their last 5 games because Alpha brought it up. They're winning games, but they're not blowing teams out. And their last 5 games have been against not great opponents. They barely beat the Cardinals. They barely beat the Bears. They had a 10-point win against the Titans, which was And then they don't even score a touchdown against the Jaguars and somehow win that game. But that's the Jaguars even. And then they beat the Colts by 1 possession. That was, So it's not like they have some great schedule. I think the Falcons actually really do cover this game. I wouldn't be surprised if the Vikings lost, but I mean, I hope they win, obviously, because I'm a fan, but I like the Falcons plus 5.5 actually a lot.
Yeah, gonna see here, pulling this up. So my pick for the biggest frauds in the NFL is going to be the entire NFC West. The 7-5 Seahawks, the 6-6 Cardinals, the 6-6 Rams, and the 5-7 49ers. They all fit the bill more for me than the Minnesota Vikings. But let's be honest. We have this conversation every year. Minnesota is always this team that seems to be doing very well going into the playoffs. People call them frauds. We saw a couple years ago when the Giants and Danny Dimes went in there and took them out. Had to get that in there. But it feels like this happens every year with the Vikings, doesn't it, Ben? I know you're a fan, so you know more than me. But you guys have some fantastic starts. You look great. And as the season progresses, it just seems like the team is not as good as their record is indicating. Do you feel that way as well?
Well, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even say just the starts. Like, obviously, we've had a lot of good starts, but we've even ended seasons well. Like when we were 13-4 in 2022, and someone who's now on our roster decided to come into Minnesota and beat us. But yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely a theme. I mean, kind of the whole theme of Minnesota sports in general is playoff disappearances. So, I mean, regular season Warriors is kind of, just where we're at this point. And hopefully Kevin O'Connell can change that. And they're definitely looking a lot better. And Brian Flores has coached an amazing defense. So maybe that'll change.
He's great. He's great. I mean, Brian Flores is great.
Yeah, it could turn the page soon because coaching has definitely been our weakest point over the years with like Frazier and all them. But,
Coach O'Connell's doing a good job.
Agree.
Coach O'Connell is doing a good job. So this team is playing better because of him. So that's my kind of take on that. Let's keep it moving right along, fellas. Next game we're going to be going over is going to be the Bills taking on the Rams. The Bills, we just saw Josh Allen scored a rushing, receiving, defensive, kick return, any kind of touchdown. It felt like Josh Allen was able to score that in the snowball. Big performance by them. And on the other side, the Rams are coming in off a nice win off the Saints, but do you really take anything off that? Their most recent wins were the Saints, New England, and Seattle, teams I don't have any faith in. So not sure how I feel about the Rams right now, but I definitely love what this Bills team is doing. They've been ripping off wins. They've been playing some great football, and they currently sit at 10-2, sole possession of first place in the AFC East. I don't usually start it off, but I'll start off this one because this is the second leg to my parlay. I am on the Vikings money line, like I said earlier, and I'm on the Bills money line here to close out the parlay. You can currently get it at a plus 110 odds. I really do like this parlay. This 3.5 number to me is a little fishy. I would have put the Bills at maybe a 5.5, 6-point favorite if I had to guess. I don't like when the number's at a 3.5 like this. I tend to not play minus 3.5. So I tend to play only plus 3.5. But for this specific spot, I am going to parlay the two money lines. I don't think there's any chance that the Bills lose this game. And I think the Minnesota Bends will pull it out as well. Like I said, that parlay is at a plus 110 odd. JD, what do you like in this one?
Right actually before the season started, the Bills were a team that everybody was kind of down on this year. But before the season started, we actually had a show, and there was two guys who thought the Bills were still going to have a very solid season. Those two guys happened to be sitting – right here.
Reverse.
Yeah.
Other way. There you go.
Reverse.
Yes. Anyway, but yes, just actually like you just said, Alpha, they are playing great. They actually really are here. For this one, I'm going to keep this one as simple as I possibly can. The Bills, they've been scoring points. Their past 6 games, they've scored 35, 30, 30, 30, 31, and then actually 34 points. And I just have to keep rolling with it here. You can get their team total currently at a 26.5, which as far as key numbers go, that is under actually like all of them.
Yep.
So I simply just have to keep rolling there. This weirdly does kind of seem like a Rams actually spot here. But even saying that, I'm not sure that they're going to be able to hold the offense down like that much.
Yeah.
So I think this number is just a little bit low here. So yeah, I'm going to play their team total over.
And Jared Verse is a true questionable as well. He's been the defensive rookie of the year for the Rams. If he does not go, that's going to be a massive loss for this Rams team. So I agree with you. They're also missing Alaric Jackson, who was one of their linemen. He's pretty good as well. So a couple big injuries for the Rams. If a couple of those guys don't go, I think that will be big, big news for this Bills team. Everyone went for this game, correct?
Not me.
Of course not. Jammer, what do you got?
Only
50%. 50%. I was halfway there. Let's go, Jammer. What you got?
I mean, you skipped me on the Falcons game too. I had a lot of
bro.
things.
You got to jump in. I apologize.
It's fine. I didn't have anything good to say about the Minnesota Bens, anyways. So.
Whoa.
But for this game, I'm sticking with my boy JD here, king of the team totals. Bills have just been scoring like crazy every single week, and this Rams defense, the only positive they have going for them is their red zone defense. They're bottom 10 in just about everything, but they're top 5 in red zone defense, which if you look at the Bills, they are one of the best in the red zone.
Yeah.
With MVP Josh Allen. I mean, he's got to be one of the scariest guys to see in the red zone with his passing and running ability. We all saw last week he got that passing touchdown to Amari Cooper, who then lateraled it to Josh, and he scores it himself. I mean, this guy is a beast. So for me, I completely agree with whoever said in the chat that this smells very, very trappy.
Joe did,
definitely. Yeah, Joe, good call on that, because I will definitely be paying attention to that line, see if it moves at all. But the 3.5 seems very trappy, but I do think that we see the Bills put up points as long as they're able to convert those red zone opportunities that they have, which I believe they will. They should be able to put up 27 plus. So I'm loving this team total at 26.5. Let's roll with that.
Let's get it. Before we go back to Ben, did you have anything on that Falcons game? So we make sure we get your opinion in there too.
Yes. So just quickly mention this Vikings team this year really reminds me of the 2020 Steelers, who opened up the season 11-1 and finished it at 12-5, losing in the first round of the Browns. I see a season-ending meltdown for these boys. Ben brought it up whenever he was talking about their last 5 teams that they've played have been just absolute bottom of the barrel. They haven't looked good in those games. And so for this game, I'm targeting just 2 spots. Well, I guess the game that we talked about previously, 2 spots. Bijan Robinson over 28.5 receiving yards. Minnesota's going to bring the heat on Kirk Cousins. He's going to need his security blanket. That's Bijan Robinson. He can break it. He can break any, little screen pass off for a long one, or he can just keep getting 5, 6, 7 receptions. I like it over 28.5. And another one, I'm going to be taking the Atlanta Falcons first half plus 3.5. I like them, either winning that first half or keeping it under a field goal. So those are my 2 plays for that game.
There we go. I love it. Ben, back to the Bills Rams. What do you got?
Oh, man. Everything I would think from where these 2 teams are, I would say that the Bills blow them out. JD said it, their last 6 games or whatever, all 30-plus points. They just played the 2 players who were the 2 teams that were in the Super Bowl last year. They beat one by 9, who won the Super Bowl. They blew out the other ones. This Bills team is riding high. They started the year 3-2. There were some question marks after the 2 losses, and then they just rattle off 7 straight. This Bills team is riding so high, and this line is just messing with my mind. The one thing I can say is that the Rams have arguably, I would say, probably the best receiving core in the NFL, the best 1-2 punch with Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, and they haven't been healthy. That 100% healthy. I think they played maybe 3 or 4 games fully healthy this year together, and Kyron Williams healthy. So with their offense, with those 2 guys, they can beat any team in the NFL if they could. It's the defense, and someone just brought up Joel. Joel just brought it up. James Cook could run away for freedom like he did last week because the playbook opened up once he started going. The Rams don't have a great rushing defense. So, and you brought up that Jared Verse injury, which could be potentially big even for that as well. So everything here says the Bills should probably blow them out. But with Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua healthy, and Stafford, if he can play well, which usually at home he does in that dome in LA. So it's a really fishy line for me. I actually think the Rams taking them plus 3.5 wouldn't be a horrible idea. The public's all over the Bills. They're only laying 3.5, but it's just too fishy. It's not an official bet for me.
All right. I like it. Not official, but we have a bunch of different angles on this game. Let's keep it rolling right along, gentlemen, to the final game that we have on the slate, which, if you guys are watching the show, there's been no cluck bet that has been made yet. So we have 1 game left. Something's going to have to happen. Let's get right into it. Game we're breaking down is going to be that Chargers-Chiefs Sunday Night Football game that should be an absolute banger. Chargers are coming in 8-4 in the year. They're 4-2 on the road. Going into Kansas City, taking on the Chiefs, who are 11-1 in the year, and they are 6-0 at home. Chiefs somehow escaped with that win last week over the Raiders. Would you believe if I told you over the last 2 weeks that the Chiefs have played the Raiders and the Panthers, 2 of the worst teams in the NFL? They have a combined margin of victory of 5 points in both games. I don't think anybody would predict that. On the other side, the Chargers have looked fantastic this year. One of the best defenses, if not the best defense in the league. They're one of the few teams that has yet to allow 200 points this season overall. Let's start with Ben. What do you like in this matchup between the Chargers and the Chiefs?
Yeah, so, I mean, I have honestly probably been the biggest Chiefs hater on this show all year. Like, I really think I have.
I might be there too, man.
I would have to look back, but I don't think I've bet on the Chiefs once this year. In fact, I bet against them quite a bit. I'm just going off my memory on that, but I don't think I've bet them one time. I am changing that this week. I am taking the Chiefs in this spot. And I will say Pacheco coming back is a big thing. And last week I took his under on carries because it was his first week back. We absolutely nailed that one. He had only like 7 or 8. But he did break one off for 34 yards. We saw he still has the explosiveness. And that's the thing. Like coming back off a big injury, you want to make sure they still have the explosiveness. And they rightfully so. There was no reason they needed to push him in that game. They didn't. And I'm so glad they didn't. That was a smart move. They really limited his carries. And he still showed he was explosive. He had some big runs. Like he got stuffed a few times. But he broke off a big run, which helped them win that game. And I really think he's a difference in this game because they've lacked just that really good just like how Joel was bringing up how James Cook opened up the playbook because he got going. When your running back gets going, it opens up the playbook. The Chiefs have not had that for much of the year because Pacheco's been out. And we know he's been one of the best running backs in the league when he's been healthy. And I think he's going to get more work in this game, closer to like 15 carries. He could break off a few big runs. I think that's kind of the difference in this game because the first time they played the Chargers, I know that we didn't really see it from them. They won by 7 still in a game that it seemed like they were still limited. They have Hunt in that game, no Pacheco. Now they have Pacheco back. I really think that they kind of reestablished their dominant role because everyone's talking about, they barely beat the Panthers. They barely beat Vegas, which is true, but they didn't have Pacheco healthy in either of those games. So I really think that this is a game that Pacheco goes off and the Chiefs win by more than the spread.
Yeah, everybody. We all heard Ben break it down. I'm sure he did a fantastic job with whatever the hell he said. It's the Chargers. It's the Chargers. Plus the 4 points. They are going to compete in this game. They will take this one to the very end. And we really have not seen the Chiefs play good football as of late. This offense is not as good as they've been in years past. The defense is what's carrying this Chiefs team. So this one to me is going to stay close. I do think it'll be a lower scoring game. And if you're going to give me 4 points over the 3, I definitely think the Chargers will be able to get this one done. I could even see them winning this game outright, but I am playing it a little safer. I am going to take the Chargers on the +4, and that is definitely one of my favorite plays of the week. Ben. I'm going for 6 in a row on these clock bets. Do you want to keep taking them with me?
I absolutely want the smoke. In fact, we can double cluck bet it. You need a cluck and moo if I win.
I'm not mooing on you. There's not enough money in the world that you can give me to make me moo on camera, man.
I want you to moo if I win because you're riding high on your 5-win streak. You're talking reckless, and I want to put you in your place.
Yep, well, you're never going to make me moo. I'll tell you that for free.
Right.
But I am in.
Join me
on the clock bet.
Let the record show.
JD, go with what you're going to go with. And pick whoever's team you want to be on the clock side. Remember, historical data does matter. Historical data does matter. Go ahead.
Corey wants the moo. He's talking about it.
We can bring Corey on here. Mr. Corey Phillips, you want to come on the show? You can moo all you want, brother. We can definitely have that. But JD, back to this game. Are you with me? Or are you with him?
Let's just look at some stats here first. As far as the records this season, as far as actually ATS, the Chargers are 6-3-1, and they're 4-1 their actual last 5 games. The Chiefs are a crazy 2-7 and actually 1, and they are 1-4 their last 5 games. Everybody, as far as the Chiefs, they've been fading the Chiefs. It's finally become a thing now. People have realized that that's the thing they actually do here. For me, this game, this is the ultimate, and I mean the ultimate buy low and sell high spot. To me, this is a Chiefs spot all day. This number is kind of crazy now. I'm seeing so much value that as far as the money line, I may actually be doing something there. So that's what I was going to say. I'm not exactly sure how I'm personally playing that yet, but I'm going to be on the Chiefs here. So I am going to be on Ben's side here.
What a mistake. What a mistake. Jammer.
Completely ignore what you heard from JD and Ben. This is definitely a Chargers spot.
Let's fucking go.
Yep. So, I mean, the Chiefs are on their third left tackle. They're bringing in DJ Humphries, his first start, fresh off an ACL injury last year. They've had every bit of a problem. They got the referees on their side. They're always jumping on their tackles.
Yep.
If we see the referees, we'll know early in the game if it's going to be a Chiefs spot or not. But I'm going to be backing the Chargers here. Justin Herbert, one of my favorite quarterbacks to watch. I mean, this guy just has heart. He loves football. I remember last year watching him play 4 or 5 games with a literal club on his left hand, and he's still out there slinging the thing. I know that they're going to be missing J.K. Dobbins, which is a huge loss for them. Gus Edwards, they only got his prop at 33.5, so I don't think we're going to see a lot of running for them, but I fully believe in Justin Herbert, and hopefully Ladd McConkey plays. I fully believe in this Chargers team. I'm seeing a low-scoring game, and if anything, the Chiefs are going to win by a field goal or some random, bullshit at the end of the game where they'll get some safety or there'll be something that they'll win by 2 or 3 points. So for me, this is definitely a Chargers spot. Me and Alpha are going to be riding hot on the Cluck bets here. So
hell yeah,
let's take them down.
That's why I came down here. The winner's circle down here. I had to get in here.
See, you actually know you're going to lose because you went down there and you put us on top.
Yep.
See, I couldn't move JD because that would have been disrespectful. So I moved myself to be nice and go with the winner with Jammer down there. This is going to be a great game, guys. I'm super excited about it. It's definitely one of the better games on the weekend. So we will see. You're either going to get a 6 straight victory from myself with my co-teammate Jammer Bet. So we're going to see Ben cluck for the 498.
Too scared to cluck and move.
I'm not moving on this camera. I'm telling you that right now. That's absurd that you want to move. But the cluck is fair play. Gentlemen, there's a couple things left that we have to do on the show. The number one thing that we do on this show, and let me get back up there because this is a soft look right there. We go. All right. Number one thing we do on the show, guys, is we give out our best bets. And before we do, as you guys can tell, we're in the little New York Red Bulls jersey today. And that's because tomorrow is the MLS Championship between the New York Red Bulls and the LA Galaxy. Footy, I see you here. Your job right now is to give everybody a bet on the New York Red Bulls LA Galaxy game tomorrow while we go over best bets. So as we wait for you, let's dive in to our best bets on the Friday NFL show. Jammer, we're going to start with you. Do you have 1? Do you have 2? Do you have 3? How many do you have for the people this week?
I'm coming with my usual 4-pack right here. So we got the Falcons first half plus 3.5. Had a limited amount of time to talk about that, but the Minnesota Bens have not been great at home. They're averaging, I think, 8 points in the first half. I'm thinking they're going to get a slow start there, and I do not trust Kirk Cousins full game just because he has the same amount of touchdowns as us 4 combined in his last 3 games.
Yep.
0 passing touchdowns in the last 3 games to 6 INTs. So I'm going to trust him first half. I'm not going to go full game with them. Another play in that game was Bijan Robinson over 28.5 receiving yards. Kirk's going to need that security blanket with the pressure the Minnesota Bens are going to be bringing. So I love that play. Buffalo Bills team total over 26.5. These guys have been putting up points. Don't see it slowing down this week unless they struggle in the red zone, which I just don't see with Josh Allen. And the final one, man, George Pickens, longest reception over 28.5. I'm telling you, send this guy to Area 51. He's not from this planet. He's going to get another 30-plus yard reception. Those moon balls are perfect.
I love it. I love it. Ben, up next, you ready to give us some bangers in the UFC? You may have 1 or 2 of those for this, and I know you got some football bets as well. What do you got?
Just the one in UFC, Nate Landwehr, the one I gave out. I love that as a best bet. There are some dogs I like, but I'm not going to be best betting those for multiple units. Those will be like half unit or 1. So it's just Nate Landwehr there. But obviously more in the Moneyball Metrics Discord. For NFL, I'm going to be doing the Chiefs -4. We already talked about that one extensively. And I also love that Jammer brought it up for me because I didn't even bring it up. J.K. Dobbins' injury is big. Gus Edwards is not good at all.
Excuse me, Rutgers legend. Watch your mouth.
He's not good at all. And Ladd McConkey, true questionable.
I don't think he plays.
A little BS questionable.
I don't think he plays.
I think he will play.
Yeah,
He
and
still
like
hasn't
been
practiced.
arguably like one of the best rookie receivers, and he's been not carrying the team by any means, but he's been their best receiver this year. So that would be a big injury on top of J.K. Dobbins. Also, in that game, didn't cover this when we broke it down. Well, I kind of did because I talked about him a lot. Pacheco is the third best bet, over 52.5 rushing yards. He was around the same line last week. He didn't get that many carries as we thought. However, I think this is the right time to take him. They warmed him up last week. He's going to get going a little bit more in this game. I think he gets closer to 15 carries. And we saw him break one off last week for 34 yards. If he gets one of those, he should be easily clearing 52.5. And I think he can against this defense. I think they're going to use him quite a bit.
I like it. I'll jump in here next, fellas. I got two for you guys this week. My two best bets are going to be that Bills-Vikings money line parlay at plus 110. I absolutely love that for all the reasons we went over earlier, as well as the Chargers plus the 4, the Cluck bet. We're going for 900 in a row over Ben. Stay tuned. We're going to do it like we always do. And JD, way to get yourself on the wrong side of history, brother. What are your best bets today?
Oh, let's see here. Let's start out with UNLV. Let's take them. That game is tonight, actually. That is a plus 4.5 at minus 110. Then let's go to that Browns, the Browns and the Steelers game. That total to me, like actually we all actually talked about it. It just seems a little bit too low there. Give me the over 43.5 at minus 110. And then yeah, guys, the Bills. They're actually team total over. I just have to keep playing that.
There we go.
That's at 26.5. I can still get it at minus 118. And then also I do have to say beyond that, myself and Mr. KO Locks, we are now on a 13-2 max play run. We have one that's going to be on one of tonight's games, and you'll be able to get that free. You just need to be on X. You need to be on Twitter, whatever actually you want to call that. We're going to be dropping an actual tweet about that right after this show here.
Hell yeah.
So make sure to watch out for that.
There's noties on.
I know I have a national max play on actually tomorrow's slate. So yeah, and actually football for us, as y'all know, is running extremely hot currently. So yes, join us.
Get in the Discord, guys. Come win with your favorite cappers, and let's all keep winning together. I'm going to put on the screen everybody's best bets currently. Get your phones out. Take your screenshots. Get all the picks in there. There's a lot in there, so I'm not going to read every single one as I normally do, but you guys can see it. Take your phones out. Get your screenshots. Let's get it. Footy, where the hell are you? We gave you a job. Footy's still not here, so we'll give him another couple seconds to see if he can give us a winner in that New York Red Bulls LA Galaxy MLS Championship. If not, everybody DM him for that pick. He will get it to you, guys.
It looks like he's saying to actually play Penn State. As far as tomorrow's game, I actually don't mind that, but I love the over, guys. I love the over there.
Me too. Also, remember, guys, Footy is a 1964 graduate of Penn State, so he is a little bit of a homer, but I agree with JD. I do like that play as well. Guys, that's going to do it for today's day. We broke down the UFC. We got those MMA picks in with Penn. We did the college football. We did the NFL, and everyone gave their best bets. JD, any parting words for the people before we get out of here?
You know, I really like my actual alt lines. So to end the show, give me the Chiefs at a minus 9.5. Let's go Chiefs. Let's fucking win.
Yes, sir. Feels good to be on the same side as JD this week.
Jesus. Jammer, say something for the people.
Fortnite OG's back. I feel like I'm back in 2016.
No way. That's what you went with. Fantastic.
That's what you
Ben, until you win a clock bet, we're not going to you at the end of the show.
Fine, I don't want to. I'll just stand here and smile.
It's been a great show, Ben. You sit down there and you smile. We'll be back on Monday, guys. Same time, same place. We appreciate every single one of you guys. Chargers by a billion. Peace.